If you're looking for exclusive content, please don't look any further than joining the Trap Talk Patreon family. Some of the best reptile keepers in this industry are part of the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you connect to a Discord. You can also tap into an Instagram group chat, connect with some of the most diverse keepers we have in the reptile hobby today. Shout out to my Patreon members and be ready for Trap Fest 2026. It's going to be one of the biggest events yet. Find all information again in the very first link in the description below. And again, thank you so much to all my fellow Patreon members out there. Cheers!
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0.
Trap Talk Reptile Network, coolest reptile network in the world, episode 768. Chondros School of Hard Knocks. Brian Fischer, Patrick Holmes in the building. I've been waiting for this episode for a long time. If you think you know something about chondros, guess what? You don't. We're going to learn a lot. I'm telling you right now, there's a lot to break down. Telling you as far as when it comes to keeping and breeding, chondros, it's going to go down, man. I'm excited. I'm your boy, MJ. What is good? If this is your first time listening or watching, do me a favor. If you're enjoying these episodes, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you do that, you get reminded of every episode released out of the network 7 days a week. There's a brand new reptile podcast coming out of the network Monday through Sunday. You can listen to all these episodes on all major audio platforms as well. So wherever you listen to any of these episodes, thank you so much for the support. Really means a lot. Trap Fest is right around the corner, 2 weeks away from the 2026 Trap Fest. 6th annual Trap Fest. The lineup is going to be amazing this year. I feel like every year it gets better and better. But if you want more information, more details on Trap Fest, please come join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Click the very first link in the description below. And I feel like I'm chopping up my words right now. I don't know. I feel like sometimes when I do 2 podcasts in one day, I kind of get delirious, but it's all good because I'll probably do the least amount of talking out of all 3 of us on the screen because I learn a lot from these guys, man. I got to tell you, I'm in a group chat with Brian and Patrick, and I never felt more like a rookie being a part of that group chat. Very humbling, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, man, listen, let's get right to the sponsor. Shout out to tonight's sponsor, the Reptile Perch. If you got an arboreal snake, make sure you go to thereptileperch.com and find what perch best suits your arboreal snake. You can find all different sizes for all different types of arboreals. So thank you so much, David Brahms, over at the Reptile Perch. Head over to the Reptile Perch Instagram account as well. See exactly what current projects David Brahms is working with. Very, very nice line of chondros that he's working with. And yeah, man, David's been killing it. So excited to see what he has going on this year. But for now, guys, go give him a follow. And again, go to the reptileperch.com and get that perch. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Mark Hager over at Texas Chondros. Telling you right now, man, if you're coming to the chondro game, this is the guy you want to follow. Mark's been doing it right for a long time now. And he works with amazing yellow neonates, red neonates, top-notch production over at Texas Chondros. He also puts on a lot of fellow Texas chondro breeders on the map on his Instagram. So go type in TX Chondros on IG, go give him a follow, and simply go to his website, texaschondros.com, and see what projects he has available in 2026. Thank you so much, Mark Hager over at Texas Chondros. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Brian Susan over at Sundown Reptiles. If you're into abronia, kahuas, tree monitors, this is the dude you want to check out for sure. All right. He also has a line of amazing geckos that he works with as well. Just go to his website, sundownreptiles.com, and also follow him on Instagram and go to his YouTube channel and subscribe to Sundown Reptiles on YouTube. Thank you so much, Brian Susan over at Sundown Reptiles. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Zoomed, the #1 reptile brand in the industry. Just shy of 50 years in business now. And if you go to zoomed.com, you can find out all their latest products that they have. And you can simply also go to the description and see what these latest products are. So appreciate everything that Zoomed's done over the years and for supporting the Trap Talk Reptile Network. Go to zoomed.com and also follow Zoomed on Instagram and also check them out on YouTube. Thank you so much, Zoomed. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Focus Cube Habitats, #1 PVC enclosures in the game. If you go to focuscubehabitats.com, you can select from 30 different design enclosures, all PVC, all designed by Stephen and Ashley. They do things differently over there, and they are killing it. So thank you so much, Focus Cube Habitats, for filling my trap full of your enclosures, man. Can't wait to get that next Focus Cube Habitat order in, and it's going to be great. So thank you so much again, Stephen and Ashley over at Focus Cube Habitats. Last but not least, shout out to the one and only Morph Market. If you're looking for that next reptile, go to morphmarket.com and select from many different species of reptiles on their website. And you can also ship directly through Morph Market and save yourself a lot of money by using their labels. So thank you so much, Morph Market and Morph Market Shipping, for all the savings that you have done for this hobby. Looking forward to shipping my next shipment out of Morph Market Shipping. And also, guys, make sure you follow me on Morph Market. If you just type in the Trap Exotics, you can see all the animals I have available, which I don't have any sold out for now. Okay, so again, man, shout out to everyone in the chats. Really excited to have this round 2 episode with Patrick and Brian. Like I said, learned a lot from these guys. I feel like I'm constantly learning from these guys, and it's mostly stuff I don't want to hear. And I've already talked about this on the show. Anytime I've challenged Patrick about something he says I don't like, he ends up being right. Brian also is the same thing, okay? And it's pretty fucking annoying. But at the end of the day, everything that these guys have taught me and told me has only helped me grow as a breeder. So that's why I feel like this episode is going to be so crucial for you guys, because you guys are about to learn a thing or 2 or 4. Holy shit, man. But listen, do what you got to do to get your mind right, and do what you got to do to stay hydrated for the Chondros School of Hard Knocks episode coming at you right now. Brian Fischer and Patrick Holmes, let's get to it. Cheers.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, God love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
And we are live, episode 768. Finally did it, boys. Got you 2 on the fucking show. This is, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of scared.
What's going on?
And of course, Brian would not be who he is without what's behind him right now. The definition of jaded. Holy shit.
A definition. I think it's very appropriate for chondro keeping.
Go ahead and explain what the definition is.
Well, the end result of having a steady flow of negative experiences, disappointment, and unfulfillment fed into a person where they get to the point where their anger circuits just short of burnout and they accept disillusionment.
AKA chondro keeping.
Yeah.
Dude, my God. Couldn't be further from the truth, dude. I mean, I got to tell you right now, dude, it's quite the experience understanding the jadedness coming with chondros, but you guys know it better than almost anyone else I know out there, dude. Patrick, you've been through the fucking ringer. Same with you, Brian. But there's so many things to cover tonight, you know, and I don't think we're going to get it all in one episode. This might be a multi-part series, and Patrick's already a part of like 2 different multi-part series on this network. But again, I love it, man. Love having you guys. Brian, how you been, man? I feel like you haven't been on the show in a long time. I think it's been over a year since I had you on the show, right?
Oh, probably. Yeah, no, all's good. Chondros are doing good. Got some eggs incubating, some more on the way. So
Nice.
can't complain.
Pure Aru clutch you have cooking right now, right?
Yep. Pure Aru's cooking and some Biox on the way.
Beautiful. And then Pat, you had a couple clutches I think already come out, or one clutch already that come out this year.
Two this year so far.
Yeah. How's the rest of your year looking?
There's some things that are looking to be headed the right direction, but as you know, I'm jaded and and superstitious. Too superstitious to be specific, and jaded enough to not have any real expectations. But it's my spring pairings tend to be the most fruitful ones for me, and unfortunately, I still have a number of animals because of some losses that I had last year and the year before. I have a number of animals that I'm just not willing to pair until I'm certain that all of that is cleared up. So that's something we'll we've talked about doing an episode on medical stuff at some point with a kind of a round table thing, and we can bring up all of that. But just another thing on the long list of shit that makes me jaded about keeping and breeding chondros.
Yeah. Yeah. So Brian, where are you at right now? Other than your Biak clutch and your Aru clutch, are you expecting anything else?
Not on the snake front. I've been trying Halmahera scrubs for a bit, but I think I missed the window for this year. I've also got some tree frog projects that I've been working on. So
yeah,
hopefully I'll get some more of that stuff going this summer.
I think, Pat, because the only reason why I know you so well now, Brian, is because of Pat, but you kind of you work with a lot of shit, Brian. Like you got your hands dabbling in quite a bit, more than what people probably realize. Because you're not too flamboyant about showing everything, right? Like you kind of, you show stuff, but you really don't show everything.
No. Yeah, I just kind of do my thing. Like I honestly, like if it were up to me, the market is the least interesting part of it to me. If we could all just trade stuff and not have to exchange money and have that come into the picture, that would be my preference. So yeah, I just do my thing. I've got some close friends that I share with on the side, like Patrick. He knows a lot of what I got going on, but every now and then I'm motivated to share publicly. But
Patrick has a lot of friends. I'm one of them, but you're the only one he calls a best friend in this hobby. I'll tell you that right now. Okay. I'm a little jealous, but also it makes a lot of sense. Okay? It makes a lot of sense the way you guys are.
Yeah.
But again, this episode I feel like is kind of to go over everything where people usually go wrong when it comes to green tree pythons. And again, I don't think we can get everything in one episode, but kind of want to go around the horn here. And we can start with you, Pat. You've seen a lot, Pat. I think you have a lot of patience when it comes to people. I mean, I'm somebody as an example that you've been very patient with, but what are some things off the top of your head where you just feel like, man, people really fuck up here when it comes to just getting into the chondro game or being a part of it? You know what I mean?
And this is such a long list. There's two things that I have to say before I say any of this stuff. One, the reason that Brian and I get on so well is not just because we're interested in a whole bunch of the same stuff. It's because we share a lot of the same views and philosophies about keeping. So it's not just that we're both old school, jaded, cynical fucking chondro heads that expect everything to die at any moment. We are that. But we also just feel the same way about a lot of the things that happen in the hobby and the community, and we have a lot of the same philosophies about keeping and breeding in general. I have a disclaimer that I may even have to repeat in the middle of the episode, since people have a tendency to get defensive or upset about things that are said. My disclaimer is that we are not going to be mentioning any names in this episode. That's not what this is about. These things that we're bringing up are not about talking down on people. We're not trying to deter people from buying from certain breeders. We're not trying to shame anybody or any of that. I'm guilty to one degree or another of pretty much anything that I'm willing to criticize. That's like one of the main reasons that I feel like I have the right to open my mouth about certain things, because I've made those mistakes before. I've made more mistakes in keeping and in my life than almost anybody I know. And so if while you're listening to this episode, if you think that we're talking about you, we probably are. And
newsflash.
Yes, and whether or not we actually are talking about you, if you even think that we might be talking about you, it's not about talking shit. If you think that we might be talking about you, or we are, just take it as an opportunity to examine the thing that we're talking about and to do better. That's what this is about. We just want people to do better in the community and in the hobby. And again, this is not about us saying we're better. I make all these mistakes. I've done all of this stuff, and I've made more mistakes than I can just, like, we could do a whole series on the things that I fucked up and continue to fuck up over the last, I've literally been keeping reptiles for 40 years, since I was a child. So anyways, I just have to throw that out there. This is not about, we're not trying to talk shit. We're not bringing up any names. This is just an opportunity to bring up some things where we can do better as individuals and as a community.
And can I just capitalize? Like, I'm definitely the most offensive motherfucker on this screen right now. Okay. And Brian have seen my side of like acting victim and being attacked, but every time I settle down and I just listen to what's being said, I'm telling you, it always touches home. So I don't want anyone to think anything other than even myself has a lot to learn on this episode tonight. So I'm glad you said that disclaimer, Pat. And if we have to say it again midway, we totally will. But why don't you start us with the first topic? Go ahead, Pat.
Well, I'll go with that one. And I don't know if you got the pictures the screenshots that I sent you.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the theme here, this is one of the things that really irks me more than anything else. Just when I'm on the Facebook groups, we get people every day in our big groups that post these. It's, hey, I just got my first green tree python. This is the setup. Sometimes it's an impulse buy. In this case, it's an impulse buy. And it's invariably, it's an Exoterra with a heat light and, whatever else. And the reactions to the post, you always get like angry face and sad face and sometimes laughy face emoji reactions. You get a whole shitload of comments on these posts, and it happens all the time, man. It's really crazy to me how often this happens. First of all, I'd like to remind people that Lord Rico Walder, the greatest chondro breeder of all time, bred hundreds and hundreds of green tree pythons in glass tanks with heat lights. But I've said that a million times, so we can set that aside. The problem is not, we've talked about husbandry and what you can and can't do with glass tanks and heat lights and blah, blah, blah. We can talk about that till we're blue in the face. We can argue about it. That's not the point. The point is that these reactions are not helpful, and the majority of the comments are not helpful, and a lot of them are hurtful. You have this person that's brand new, and they are there to ask a question. None of us were fucking born with this knowledge. None of us. All of us had to learn it somewhere. Some of us who have been doing this since way the fuck before the internet existed had to earn all of this. We didn't just learn it, we earned it. I grew up in the 90s pet store industry and wholesale pet store industry, man. And I have seen thousands and thousands of dead reptiles, and I earned a lot of the experience and knowledge that I have. But now we have this beautiful thing called the internet, where people can share information and where you can learn things very quickly from a huge number of people that are also truly experienced and knowledgeable. a lot of the people that jump in these comments and say things are not truly experienced and knowledgeable. And a lot of the comments are, again, not helpful and often hurtful. The reason I'm using this one post as an example is because, first of all, it's actually not a terrible setup other than the snake needs, like, I'm not a fan of the metal perch, right? But if you just get an animal and you want to set it up very simply when you first get it, man, like, you have a box, you have a horizontal cylindrical perch, and you have a heat source and a water dish. Chondros really don't actually need anything more than that to survive, okay? So nothing wrong with having it set up like that initially. The comments in there were just, it's embarrassing to me to go and read those comments in that post with that girl just trying to figure out, and people are like, all these comments like, hey, well, maybe you shouldn't make an impulsive buy. Okay, well, that's not fucking helpful, bro. She already bought the snake. She admitted that it was an impulse. So that's it. Leave that alone. Like, she already did it. So now let's be helpful and explain what could make this enclosure better. She already has that enclosure. Guys, there's nothing fucking wrong with glass enclosures. There's nothing wrong with heat lights. So she can take what she's got and modify it. And by the way, I messaged this person directly myself, as I often do, and I've been helping her in the background answering questions about humidity. And of course, like, she got steered the opposite direction. And I won't blame the people in the comments, but she is trying to go bioactive with it. And I'm actually trying to help her achieve that if that's what she wants to do. Whatever. The point is that we need to just be helpful and try not to be hurtful. And if you don't have something helpful to say when somebody's trying to learn, then just don't fucking comment.
Yeah.
Don't say anything. Just leave it alone. Yeah. Move on to the next one. Be helpful or keep your fucking mouth shut. Period. And this is like every group on everything anywhere on Facebook. It's not just our community. Our community is arguably the least guilty of this bullshit of any reptile community. Chondro community is probably the most helpful and supportive reptile community that exists.
Yeah.
Okay. And if there are any other ones, they're so niche that I'm like unaware of them or not a part of them. And so I'm not dogging on the community as a whole. I'm dogging on individuals that you have taken the time out of your day to comment on this. If you're going to do that, be helpful. You can take that glass cage and you can cover the sides to create some visual barrier. You can cover part of the top so you don't lose all your humidity through the screen. And there's already a perch holder. You can replace that metal perch with a wooden perch. All of that stuff can happen for a couple of dollars and in a few minutes.
Yeah.
And you could have commented that. And then that cage is perfectly sufficient to maintain that animal as long as the heat light's not too hot and warm enough, period. Yeah. The reason I sent you the other pictures that were posted, I found those just a few posts apart on the same day. Is, some random person from Asia posting these pictures of these green trees. They don't even have perches. They're in tiny tubs on newspaper with a water bowl. And notice the reactions over there. I actually took screenshots of both. I didn't send it, but I took screenshots of I have pulled up the names and the reactions. I didn't send them because we don't want names on this episode, right. But all the cry face and angry face and whatever reactions from one. And that one was 100%, even though it's only not a huge one, all thumbs up and hearts.
Yeah.
The whole thing that was posted on the same day. All right. And there was just a couple of comments and they were like, oh, nice snakes or whatever. There was nobody in there bashing that dude, nor should there have been anybody in there bashing that dude. What you're looking at right there is the reality of what it looks like when these animals are in transit or recently acquired or whatever. You know what? When I get a green tree python or any snake in, the first thing I do is stuff it into a tiny tub on paper with no perch, no water, no nothing, on treated paper so I could see if it has mites. Like, that's part of the quarantine process, blah, 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 blah. I'm not trashing that guy. I'm asking, why did this first person who came to learn with their first green tree python, Why did they get a bunch of fucked up reactions and a bunch of stupid fucking comments? And then this other person who on the same day posts pictures of chondros with no perch at all in a tiny tub on paper, and there are no negative comments and no bullshit reactions. So I'm not saying we should have put bullshit reactions or negative comments on that post. We should not have. I'm saying that we should not have put that bullshit on the other post, and we should only be helpful. So that's the end of my rant on that one.
Well, let's kind of go around and, you know, obviously we'll get Brian's take on it, but I want to ask you first, Pat, do you feel like you see some usual suspects when it comes to this stuff? Like you almost see the same people shitting on a post in the comments at random? I'm just curious because I feel like we were talking earlier, people want to rush to the comments just to be heard, you know, but
yes.
I learned too over the years, if you really want to help somebody, like if you genuinely want to help them, you would send them a private message. You know what I mean? Like you don't, because I can tell you right now, you're not going to be heard in a huge comment section where there's a bunch of people just shitting on them. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. And that's how you and I began our friendship long before it was a friendship. Was it not? I just reached out, man. And there are countless people who can say that I did the same thing with them. I can't tell you the number of times that I saw somebody get a clutch and realize this person, it was their first clutch. And I just, hey, show me your incubator setup, you know, just because I want to, because I want them to hatch their eggs. I want everybody to have a good experience. So yes, I do see some of the same people, but I rarely see patterns with the same people being like legitimately rude. But I do see a lot of the same people, like, you know, shitting on glass tanks and heat lights and stuff like that. And it's just really funny to me, like the ideas that people have about heat and humidity and one heating element versus another, and this one dries tanks out and blah, this and that, and glass doesn't hold humidity. What the fuck does that even mean? Glass, it's the screen top that's letting the humidity out, guys. It's not the fucking glass. And you know, glass may not be the most heat efficient material to build a cage out of, but it doesn't. Again, a lot of the people that say these things, this is another big problem with most things that are said. This is maybe the number one problem with the internet, period, is that most people do not actually possess a true understanding of the things they're talking about. They're just repeating some shit that somebody else said that they thought sounded good. That's this post, every reptile group, basically every comment section everywhere on the internet that has anything to do with anything. We've all become a bunch of fucking sheep and parrots that are just following and repeating shit that other people said, and we don't even know what we're talking about. So, you know, have some experience and some knowledge before you open your mouth. If you look in comment sections where people are asking questions, especially if they're new and they don't give a lot of context, they just ask a question, you'll see 30 answers, and there's a bunch of like very quick answers, quick numbers, short sentences. The people that really know things will jump in there and ask 3 or 4 more questions before they even offer an answer, because they need some context to give the proper answer. You know, what's the right cage size? What's the right size of heating element? What's the right temperature? Blah, 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 blah. You can't give single answers to those things. You need to know the context.
Yeah. And Brian, you know, what's your take on this? Because you're full of knowledge, Brian, but you're not very outspoken. Like, you don't make it in a point to go be heard, but you are kind of behind the scenes and you see a lot of this stuff. So how does that make you
see
feel,
everything? Patrick and I talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, the shame is that sort of, and I haven't read that specific post, but that sort of stuff is what's driven, I think, myself and a lot of the old timers that are still around from commenting and trying to help. You know, I don't probably have the time that Patrick does to message people individually. I would love to if I could, but you know, if those people were to just, like Pat said, just be quiet, your day will come, keep and kill chondros for another 10 years, and then you can have some valuable input.
Right.
But if they were to just be quiet, those of us who have been around and seen a lot would be more inclined to comment on those posts so that they're available for everybody to see. But the problem is that you get lost in a sea of 100 comments and there's no back and forth. Like Patrick said, a lot of this is extremely nuanced. I know people don't want it to be, but it is. It depends on the dynamics of, like, she just posted a picture of a cage,
Yeah.
but I want to be like, where is this? Is it in your basement? Is it in your living room? Is it upstairs in like a bedroom that's getting hit by sun all day?
Yeah.
Like the context matters. And so, yeah, and I don't know how you fix it exactly, because I think maybe a lot of those people are commenting because it's kind of like a misery loves company thing. Like they were not long ago in that place and made that mistake, and now they kind of get to be like, oh, you did it too. And it makes them feel a little bit better about it. But yeah, that'd be my take. I mean, it's a shame. Like I used to be extremely active back in the MBF and Chondro web days.
Yeah.
But yeah, once I went to Facebook, just the ability to have any sort of dialogue back and forth kind of got removed. And so I still do have people that I help on, here and there that reach out. Some local people that I meet, I'll help mentor, but yeah, it's difficult, especially with the volume of some of those groups.
Yeah. And the vibe I get sometimes, I used to really get in depth and read the comments, and I feel like some of the people, the way they comment, it's like, would you feel better if they gave the snake back? Like, do you want them not to be here? Like, because it's so aggressive and it's so like, kind of like attacking them to the point where it's like, you almost wish they would have never even gotten the snake. And it's kind of so unfair. Like, to go to Pat's point, like, we all start from a fucking ground zero level and we're not born with the knowledge. But if we have pages to go to ask questions, why do you want to make them feel like the person's so small that they should give up or not have the snake? Which the worst thing we could do for this hobby, the hobby is not that big still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we constantly want more new people in, and we all start somewhere,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get to the next one. Brian, how about you? What do you got on the agenda, buddy? What's one of the things where people just go completely wrong at sometimes with chondros?
Jeez. Like that's
It's okay. Collect all your thoughts.
I think one thing is like jumping onto trends. And this is not necessarily a husbandry issue, but we do see it has kind of taken on, I think, some resemblance to the ball python community in terms of trendy morphs and what's the latest and hottest thing, and the latest and hottest lineage, or this came from this snake, and there's a lot of flashy ontogenic color changes that don't necessarily result in what's being advertised, or sometimes it's not even outright advertised or said by the person selling it. It's just kind of assumed through there's a lot of people that are posting animals that I've noticed. There's a lot of people, there's no one specific person that's at fault for this. They post animals at changing, and you rarely see them as adults. And I think it's creating this false narrative amongst the community about what, it's giving a misrepresentation of what the line actually is, or what the expectation should be as adults. And that's not necessarily something that's new, but now that now that the community has grown much bigger than it was, it does seem to be very rampant.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think about that?
Definitely not. Yeah, it's definitely not anything new. And the problem doesn't lie in the fact that we don't know how the animals are going to turn out. That's part of the allure, and there is no way to predict it, and that's totally fine. Like when you buy a younger, unchanged animal, it's a gamble. That's literally part of the allure of green tree pythons, is the like trying to figure out, especially once you start producing them, trying to figure out what to hold back and trying to predict ontogenetic color changes. All that shit is cool. It's so cool. It's one of my favorite things about it. But when you leverage that, when you have that understanding and you intentionally leverage it to ask extremely high prices for snakes, I disagree with that. I think that's I think it's anywhere from irresponsible to sometimes outright shady, but it's really only shady if people are actively promoting something that it's going to turn into something, as if you know whether or not it will. And you know, and we actually rarely see that. We rarely see people saying this is how it's going to be. But when you model your marketing around something like that, that's problematic in my opinion. And especially with, you know, and as a line goes on and it proves itself out more and more to be really consistent, then obviously like the value increases with that. That's the whole point. And again, this is like, by no means is this anything new. It's just that back in the day, we didn't have the internet in the same way. Like the internet was there when all these crazy chondromorphs are coming out, but you weren't able to like to leverage that in front of so many people like you can now. Brian said something a minute ago, and he was referring to comments and discourse and conversations, but all this same fuckery still existed on the MVF back in the golden era of the MVF. It's just that back then, the fuckery was the exception and not the rule. And now it seems to be that it's like maybe not quite the rule, but it definitely leans more heavier towards the fuckery than towards people. And I'm mostly referring to the comments and whatnot, but also to marketing stuff, man. And I don't even like using the fucking word marketing. I don't even like you saying the market when I'm referring to this stuff. But that's not because there's anything wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with doing this as a business. It's just because I'm really, really just a hobbyist, and I'm just blessed enough to be able to generate income to buy more snakes from doing this, you know. And so yeah, I agree with Brian completely, and I think that it's a very difficult thing to tease apart because we don't know what people's intentions are. And so that goes back to what I said in my disclaimer. If you think that we're talking about you are the only one that lives inside of your head. You know what your intentions are. You know what you're doing. So if you think, if you want to have longevity in the community and you want to be actually respected as a human and as a member of the community, and not just because you have dope shit, then maybe roll that around in your head a little bit and think about what your intentions are when you're marketing your animals.
Do you guys both think there's some cases out there of people pushing the red, dark, black Neos to be almost a guarantee of something, and that's why they're $12,000? When we all know, I mean, there may be some people, like I can't say there's no red Neo out there that's not worth $12K, but we know there are certain situations where historically there's more than a 50% chance this insane looking dark Neo could just go fucking greener than grass.
Yeah, I don't know about push it. First of all, I don't think anybody's selling, like, because you know how I am about the term neonate. I don't think anybody's selling actual neonates for $12,000.
Really?
But
I know.
Yeah, well,
they're selling unchanged.
Or animals that are leaning into the change, right? But not fully changed. So there's a huge gap of somewhere between 1 and 6 years from neonate to fully changed, depending on the animal and the lineage, right? So, you know, I've said this a million times, neonate means newborn. It's literally what it means is newborn. But, you know, they're red neos, like some of them, like Beox, change every day of their entire life. So
right.
The change is a spectrum, and there's like completely unchanged where they just aren't even showing any level of change whatsoever, other than just the most microscopic little shifts you know, that can happen in the first few months. Most people are not charging more than like $7,000 for like actual baby chondros, but in my opinion, the significant percentage of those should not be going for $7,000. But my opinion on pricing does not matter. It doesn't. The market, I fucking hate that word. The market is whatever the market is. An animal is worth whatever somebody is willing to pay for it. That's why the problems are not with, like Brian and I can sit back in the messages and talk private messages and talk all the shit we want. MJ, you jump in on it too. We can talk all the shit that we want about people's prices and stuff that they post, right? Because you posted that number publicly, and we can sit back and talk all the shit we want about it. But our opinions are just, it's just something to laugh about. It doesn't really matter. That animal is worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. That's what a market value of anything is. But that ties back into how did you market that animal, and at what stage did you sell that animal to? I've had a number of animals do some really cool shit in the OCC, and you know, or I'll send one to Brian, or he'll send one to me that's at this really awesome stage, and we'll be like, sell it now, sell it now while it's
okay.
yeah, and you know, and you can do that. And I have sold animals that were in cool, funky stages of the color change with for decent amounts of money, usually less than what other people would ask for them. But I have never, ever one time given anybody any unreasonable expectations about the potential outcome of that animal. I've never once tried to say, hey, yeah, I think this snake is doing this, when I didn't actually think that. Everything that I've ever said to anybody about the direction I thought a snake was going, and you can ask the millions of people who have, millions is obviously an exaggeration, the number of people who have asked me to help them choose babies from another breeder, the number of people that have bought a snake and said, hey, what do you think about the direction of this one? The number of people who produced a snake and said, hey, where do you think this one's going? Because they're trying to decide what to sell. For every animal that I've sold and answered those questions, I've answered the same questions for dozens of other people about animals that had nothing to do with me making any money, and I give the same honest opinions no matter who it is. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about it. I'm not trying to influence anybody in any direction. MJ knows that, because MJ will ask me a question expecting me to jump on his side on things sometimes, and he gets upset with me.
There's a lot of letdowns.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's because he knows, that's why you keep coming to me with those issues, though, because you know that I'm gonna shoot you straight. I'm gonna paint both sides of the picture, and you're gonna get mad for not being thinking that I'm not on your team for a minute, but I'm just being honest with you.
I don't get mad anymore. Well, maybe I do, but at the end of the day, it's like the truth is more like soreness from working out. Like, you're gonna be fine, dude. Like, look, it's gonna make you feel some type of way, but the next day when you wake up, you're gonna be happy you heard it.
Yeah, you'd be better for it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you and Brian have been notorious with, that kind of information with me. And for me, as I still feel like I'm just starting in this shit, I want to know all the painful truths I could find out. The quicker the better, as far as knowing what to expect or not to expect the fucking thing. You know what I mean? Expect death.
Death.
Yeah. But for you, Brian, and we'll get your take on this too, Pat. Like, when should someone have an idea what direction chondros going? Like at what age would you say? Like, and if they could eliminate the whole confusion of like an insane OCC throwing you off, where in your experience, Brian, do you feel like someone should look at a chondro and be able to determine the direction it's going?
Well, unfortunately, it's extremely nuanced, like everything else. That's the hard part, is like they aren't like ball pythons or anything with more traditional, recessive or incomplete dominant morphs, where you can be like, X plus Y equals Z. A lot of this is, for one, like the reason they look crazy is because they're hybrids. It just is what it is. So we're crossing all these hybrids back and forth. And a lot of the lines today, there have been some kind of resurrections of like calico, like the really high percentage stuff, but a lot of it's extremely watered down. And so, like if you're taking 2 green calico lineage snakes, you might get 1 or 2 oddballs in there. More than likely, you're going to get a lot of green snakes. It just is what it is. And I mean, kind of like what Patrick said, that it's a lottery. I mean, that's
big time.
That's what it is. And so you're hoping that you picked the 1 or 2 out of 12 or 20 or however many that are going to do that thing you want. And oftentimes, in some of that stuff, it takes 2-3 years to really know what direction it's going in, especially with like a lot of these designers that are high black, they go crazy black at like 18 months.
Yeah.
A lot of that fades away.
Yep.
Within a year of that phase just kind of goes.
Some of it happens after one shed. Like I've seen some crazy melanism in some snakes where one shed later, it's now like 80% green and all that black's gone off of one shed. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with that snake.
No.
They can still be beautiful, useful snakes in in some sort of designer, breeding program that somebody's putting together, but you need to pair that with something that's much more potent. Or if you, like I said, if you pair that with another green snake, maybe it has some calico lineage in the past, you might pop out something random, but more than likely you're going to produce a lot of green mutt designer snakes. It's like and I guess a disclaimer, I don't say this to be jaded and shit on what people have, but we've seen enough snakes change over the last 25-30 years in this community. People have been sharing a lot of these changes, and I eventually just kind of develop an eye for it. That's why I say, like, you can't really just say this is, if your snake is still black by 2 years, you're safe. You can't say that. We've just seen too many times where it fades.
Yeah, I mean, they changed the first 10 years, if not more than that, right? Like, I mean, there's constant change.
Yeah, they kind of change forever. But I mean, but then like on the flip side, a positive thing is like if you're working with blue line lineage, this, like the Trooper Walsh blue line, a lot of those snakes will get bluer as they age. So they will progress into what you're looking for, but at 3 or 4 years old, they might kind of look generic and green. And then at 5, 6, 7 years, especially males will develop that blue.
Yeah. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, and that also, it's not just the Walsh stuff. That applies to like high blue locality and locality outcross stuff too. The Prada stuff. Said we weren't going to say any names, and I won't say in either direction, good or bad stuff. But there's some other locality stuff out there and locality crosses that absolutely can gain a lot of blue later in life, right? And that can be 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. Well, I think I want to just leave a little place mark right here because we want to talk more about blue in a little bit. But I'm still on the black thing with Brian. But we could talk more about like true blue versus high blue versus hormonal blue, and animals being called one when they're actually the other or whatever. But anyways, with black, I want to make a couple of things really clear. I agree 100% with literally everything Brian just said. And these animals absolutely, the majority of green tree pythons that go through a black OCC retain very little, if any, of that black. The vast majority of them. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's of any lineage. And we have seen fluke outliers from straight locality blood that ended up maintaining a lot of really cool black as adults. And then we've seen a significantly higher number of animals from designer lineages retain a significant amount as adults. And that can be from black. It just seems to be a result of crossing anything. Like you can get black from doing any type of weird hybrid mutt stuff. And you can have flukes that pop up. This actually is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. There is one well-known breeder who got an animal that was essentially a fluke that was one of the coolest black snakes ever. And he has produced some really cool offspring, but even the repeat pairing didn't produce anything like him. And there has been varying degrees of black. I don't like using the word melanism. I don't think that's the correct term, but that's okay. It's just me being, how I am about certain terms. But that breeder has recently taken a more established, and this goes into what Brian was saying about crossing them to the right things. He has taken a more established line that has been more consistent with producing black and bred those two lines together. And we're now seeing those animals changing, and the results are fucking ridiculous. They are ridiculous. So one thing I will say about animals that go through a black OCC, even though the vast majority of them lose the vast majority, if not all of the black, is that the animals that go through black OCCs, there is a super strong correlation. I don't want to call it a fact, but there is a super strong correlation that those animals are the most likely to produce animals that will retain black if you refine for it using that type of blood, right? So it's not to say that animals that are like from black bloodlines, melanistic bloodlines that are sold for a lot of money, it's not to say that they're invaluable if they or invaluable is not the right word. It's not to say that they are no longer valuable if they turn green. Those animals bred to the right animals, even if they're green, absolutely can have a higher chance of throwing that black look that you're going for. I recently let an animal go out of a clutch that I produced. They're all 2 years old now, and all 9 of them, it was 9 eggs, 100% hatch. All 9 of them went through varying degrees of black in the OCC. And I recently traded one of them. And that the person I traded to, he got her just because he thinks that having gone through the black OCC, that she'll make a good match for his stuff that's black, right? And I have one of her sisters that I kept that is over 2 years old now, and she's still very, very, very black. But I'm not going to say anything about where she settled in until she's 4 or 5 years old, Yeah. Versace, RIP to the legend Versace. But Versace was very high black at like, what was it, Brian? Like 30 to 36 months old, something like that. Before he started kind of fading.
He was pretty big in some pictures, still with a lot of black.
Yeah, and very, very cool oranges and black and good size on them. Of course, we were feeding differently back then, so they got a little bigger, a little faster. But and Marshall's talked about this a million times. This is highly abnormal. Most of the black is going to go away by somewhere between 18 months and 3 years of age. Versace didn't lose his black until he was like, the last of it faded out between age 6 and 8. And he ended up being the greenest fucking chondro in the world. And one last comment on this subject, since I brought up green snakes. When we say green snakes, and we're almost saying it in like a derogatory context, right? Like, oh, that fucking snake just turned green. Here's the thing: you will hear Ryan Young, for example, say that we don't like chondros because we don't like green snakes, right? Here's the separation that needs to occur. We want our locality snakes, like our locality animals, for those of us who are into locality animals. It's cool if they're green. Although my favorite ones are the ones that have the most blues and yellows and blacks on top of the green, but they're still predominantly green snakes, and that's fine. It's when we're aiming at shit that's not fucking green and we get a whole bunch of green that it's a problem, and we're going to talk shit and joke and call them high green and whatever else. We still love those snakes.
Yeah. Well, Ryan's in the comments, of course. I didn't think you would tap into this one, but he did. He's saying, I think we should stop calling this the Green Tree Python community.
Perfect timing.
Instead,
Perfect timing.
But Green Tree Python crew is more accurate.
Thank you, Ryan. We love you.
And, you know, again, this kind of leads into what I want to talk about, because, you know, I like red neos. It's just my preference. You know, I have nothing against yellows, but how much I've been gloating over reds, the people who have yellow feel some type of way. Like if I'm saying there's something wrong with you if you have yellow neonates, or even if you have a green tree python that is green, that's fine. I just have goals in my own collection. Like I have things that I'm pursuing because this is what I like. And just because somebody likes something that doesn't line up to what you have, it shouldn't make you feel some type of way. But it's getting to the point where some of these yellow neonate guys are becoming delusional. And I get it. Like what you like, but Pat, we got to talk about this, buddy. Because first and foremost, are you selling discounted yellow neonates? Is that true? Okay.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
That animal went for the same price that I sold the rest of the siblings for. And yes, it's the best one in the whole clutch. It's also, it's the only time I've produced some really wicked high yellows, and none of them were intentional. Like I knew they were possible, but none of them were intentional. The one time I actually tried to do a high yellow clutch, and I bred one of the best high yellow animals in the world to an animal with an all-star high yellow pedigree with every yellow ingredient possible. And I got like 10 babies, and only one of them turned truly high yellow.
But even
and yellow's like,
how old is this snake, Patrick?
Oh, they're
this one right
that
here.
animal's over 3 years old now. That snake is gonna be like, that's a fucking rock star high yellow. And the fact that it has blue dorsals, like I'm real butthurt that I sold that snake, and I knew it was special when it hatched. But I didn't think that, I thought the other ones that I kept had a better chance of going high yellow than that one. But no, it's maybe I sold that thing for a lot less than what other people would have sold it for, but I didn't sell it for any less than the siblings, and I got multiple thousands of dollars for that snake.
So there was no discount involved in your eyes?
No,
but maybe the lottery thing, right? Like,
yes,
you're selling with the designer stuff, especially. You're selling a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Again, not to bring this back to like a pricing thing, but people can sell it for whatever they want. But as a buyer, you should be skeptical as to the lottery ticket you're buying. If you were buying a Powerball ticket for $100 million and the payout's $120 million, not really like a great investment, right? More than likely you're gonna not win. So that's kind of how I think of this stuff, is like, what is the likelihood that I'm gonna get the animal that I'm hoping for? And then in my head I calculate, okay, what's that worth to me? And I think the pricing of the lottery has gotten a little out of control.
Big time.
I agree.
And that has to do with the excitement recently of people getting into green tree pythons. Because it's easy to bait a lot of these motherfuckers right now. It's very easy.
It's not just that. It was COVID pricing. The people who right now are selling like basically all of their stuff for really high prices.
Yeah.
Almost all of them were really getting kicked off in their like consistent success breeding during COVID pricing, where everybody was paying whatever for anything. And all of that pricing, and I've said this on the show many times, all that shit pissed me off. Like, again, I don't talk shit about people's pricing individually or on specific animals or about specific numbers. That's not what I was upset about it. Guys, sell your snakes for $1 million if somebody will pay for it. It's fucking dope that any of us can make any amount of money doing something that we love so much. It's the coolest fucking thing in the world, okay?
Yeah.
But I'll sell my fucking chondros for $5 if I want to, and you can sell them for $5 million if you want to, and if somebody will pay for it, that's fucking amazing. But I was pissed because I like to buy snakes. I'm not just only selling snakes. I like to buy snakes. There are some breeders that I would have a dozen of their animals in my collection if I thought the prices were what I was willing to pay for those animals.
Yeah, but Pat, I mean, you have the power of trading for the most part. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I thought that, but some of these people I've tried to trade stuff with on multiple occasions, and still hasn't ever happened. So, yeah, yeah, and believe it or not, there are people in the community that are real focused on money.
Yeah,
that's crazy, right?
And kind of going back to the excitement of thinking your chondros going a certain direction. Do you remember that snake I had from Sock that was a yellow neonate over 2 years old, and it didn't change a fucking wink? And I was telling you, like, dude, this thing is still yellow. It's over 2 years old. You made the comment where you're like, well, it could have been a slow establisher. And I feel like that does have an effect sometimes on the length of an OCC, right? Like if
absolutely.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I've had this snake from Sock since it was a baby, and it always ate for me. So that's why I was pretty confident this yellow neonate at the age of 2 was completely yellow. And then what, 4 months later, not even 4 months later, one shed, and that's what it turned into. Literally, I swear to God, it was one shed.
It's so fucking green. It hurt my eyes.
Ew. Fucking ew. No, but,
dude, that thing is beautiful. Look at the flowers on that girl.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice
animal. Gorgeous.
Oh, that's badass.
Sock's Nitro to Sonic pairing, and Sonic was a brother to White Diamond. So,
cool.
Yeah. So, again, regardless of what this snake turned out to, I love this snake. It's breeding right now with one of Garrick's animals. But, at the end of the day, it's like the excitement could really do something to some of these people. And I've been a victim of my own excitement. I still am. I get overly excited about stuff where the balloon pops, the chondro gods just go, oh, no, you're not, and again, it kind of comes with the territory, but the excitement has a lot to do with people's expectations, you guys would say, right? And,
yes.
and I'm talking the people coming in, dropping thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on something they're expecting it to turn out to, when the expectations can really kill the vibe of things sometimes, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is similar in some ways to, I mean, like, I don't have ball pythons, but I pay attention to the community and what goes on. And it seems like just about everybody, similar like what we were talking about at the beginning with the chondro caging, like everybody makes that mistake in the beginning.
Yeah.
Ball python breeders or keepers in the beginning, they grab a bunch of stuff without really thinking about it, and then they have this mishmash of a collection that doesn't really work together, right? Super common. I think that's kind of what's happening with chondros. There's not a lot of educated, skeptical buyers, and that's what's kind of leading to this.
Right. But again, if people are willing to pay something, you can't really control that first and foremost.
Yeah.
But again,
it's not a comment on the sellers, like we've been saying. Charge whatever you want. It's a comment on the buyers. They need
Yeah.
I think as a community, the buying community needs to be a little bit better educated as to what they're actually buying.
Yes.
And I'm sure we all had someone like, you know, especially customers, right? Like I've had people who bought snakes from me last year who was like, oh, what, do you think I should pair it to this baby? I'm like, well, what was the pairing? And the first thing they show me is a fucking blue mom that's clearly hormonal, like clearly like that's hormonal. And you can't say, okay, that's not going to be a possibility for that snake, but what are the possibilities of a female going hormonal? Like, because from what all the females I have, I've yet to have one female go insane hormonal on me. And it's definitely something I would never pitch to somebody and be like, oh yeah, like this is what could happen. Actually, I try to do the opposite, and I try to explain to people that is more of a freak fucking, I don't want to say accident. I mean, what would you call it, Patrick? Like when
it's not an accident. Going hormonal is normal, but there's with very little exception, there's very little evidence, and this doesn't mean that it's not a thing, because sample size is always the problem with green tree pythons. Even though we've got 50 fucking years of tracked lineage and data and countless generations and tens of thousands of animals we've produced, data is still a problem, and sample size is still a problem because of the lack of consistency. Like people don't stick with it and track things. I'm terrible about fucking keeping records. If I kept records the way some guys do, just my experiences would be an amazing pool of data. But I'm retardedly busy and terrible at organization. I don't keep good records. And anyways, there's not a lot of evidence that the going hormonal blue is a heritable trait. Man, I sure hope it is, because I had that, you know, my Biot clutch this year. Their mom, Bluebell, is like the coolest hormonal blue chondro, like, or hormonal blue Biot ever.
How do I get to pick mine out? I've been waiting. What's
Brian picked his, so you're next. You're second, number 2 in line.
All right, I'll take it.
I've just been getting them going. I do keep very tight records on all of the neonates, and I only have one of those that's still being a legitimate pain in the ass. But you know, you're not going to get one of those. You're going to get one of the fatties that's sight feeding, unscented, unheated pinkies right now. And you're number 2 on the list. I just haven't had time to send you all the pictures. Brian just picked his out last week.
Yeah, something like that.
Would you pick one of the nice dark ones, Brian? Fucker.
I just told him, give me the best feeder.
Oh,
yeah, he did.
That works out.
He did. Yeah, I showed him pictures, and then I told him how every single one of them was eating, what their response was like, and what their initial response was like, what they were doing, how many meals they had. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll take that one because it's the best feeder of the ones you've showed me."
Now,
great.
Brian, take note, Brian. The one I win from you, I want the best eater. Okay.
No matter how many eyes it has, doesn't matter how many eyes it has. It just has
I got a great feeder for you.
I don't give a fuck about the eyes. Send me a cyclops. I don't give a shit.
Fuck. Anyways, there's not a ton of evidence that the ability to become hormonal blue as a breeding female is a heritable trait. It'd be cool if it is, but there's definitely no good evidence that hormonal blue females have a higher tendency to produce animals that go true blue or high blue. And it's incredibly interesting to me to see multiple females in one place going hormonal blue. I'm not really sure what that's about, and I have had, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of chondros. I think I've produced around 40 clutches I've hatched around 40 clutches. I've produced a whole lot more than that because I've had plenty of 100% slugs or super low fertility and none hatched or whatever, but I've hatched somewhere around 40 clutches. And I've had, at this point, I don't know, like at least a couple hundred adults, like fully grown adults in my collection and over the years. And I've had precisely 0 females go blazing hormonal blue in my collection. 0. I've had a lot of them get a blue wash over time or go have a shift, whether they bred or not, during a certain part of the year, look really nice in blue. I've had animals like Bluebell that I acquired as a blazing hormonal blue snake, permanently so, even though she would still shift a little bit one direction or the other through the year. That's how I knew when to pair her. That's how I got a clutch out of her at however old she is, because I watched her color change. But yeah, I don't. It seems to be an incredibly rare thing, and it's really interesting to me to see it happen consistently for anybody. So I'm not really sure how to explain that, but it doesn't seem to mean anything for the outcome of the offspring. It sure fucking looks cool though. Some of the hormonal blue chondros are some of the best looking blue chondros out there. Like man, if you ever see a fully hormonal Aru, they're like
blue.
Yeah,
unreal.
I've got a girl that she laid the 2 clutches I've had the last few years, and she goes like full on super blue looking when she's gravid, and then within probably 3 to 6 months of her laying, it starts to fade out.
Wait, so you don't sell that as a project that's called Super Blue?
No.
I recently heard of someone saying they have a super high yellow. I was like, whoa, hold on. Okay. Like, how much super can a high yellow be already? Now you're going to call it super high yellow. Oh man, I don't know what to say.
They're all super yellow. All the truly high yellows are super yellow because they all go straight to yellow if they weren't already.
Yeah. All right, Patrick, you're up. What's number 2 for you?
Man, I have a few things, but there's a couple that I think that I'd like to do really quickly just to get out of the way.
Sure.
For a couple more that we can spend some.
Go ahead and say.
Okay. So, this is going to fall under the category of like one that we can talk about a little bit more, which is people who are really popular, well-known, well-respected, that don't actually have a really good like baseline experience level with just reptile keeping in general. The chondro community is kind of like the chameleon community, where like there's lots of people that have never kept anything else, right? Or have super minimal keeping, right? We have a person that had 1 bearded dragon, and then bam, they've got 70 chameleons now, and they suddenly are like respected because they have a cool collection. We see the same thing with green trees, people that just don't have a ton of like baseline experience. And the thing is that's totally fine. Like, again, nobody's born with experience or born with knowledge. It's totally fine to not have the experience. It's totally fine for a chondro to be your first snake and for you to get the addiction like all the rest of us do. And in 2 years, you have 30 of them. That's fucking amazing, dude. But as you gain traction in the community and you gain respect, you maybe start to produce a few of them. You probably shouldn't be sharing information as if you're a highly experienced person when you're just not. Having 30 chondros and producing 3 clutches in 2 years, and those are almost the only snakes you've ever kept, you haven't done shit. Like, you're a newbie. You haven't done shit. And that's totally fine unless you're acting like you know what you're talking about, because you just fucking don't. You just don't.
Yeah.
I got my first pair of chondros in 1998, and I had cared for hundreds and hundreds, maybe, I won't say thousands, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of snakes before I ever had a chondro in my care. Okay. I was keeping chameleons in the early 90s, if we want to go back on the subject of chameleons, when the only way we knew how to keep chameleons was to kill a whole bunch of them and figure out the things that didn't kill them. It's like, all right, well, this one didn't die, but this one did, so let's lean a little bit more in this direction. Trial by fire with the fucking poor chameleons. But I'll give an example of this because I think this is a subject that we should expand on a little bit. I'm really sorry to these two guys. I really like both these guys, but there was a video that came out a while back of two gentlemen swabbing a green tree python for nidovirus. That's cool. Like, we want to show people that we're testing. Everybody should be testing. We should all be testing our snakes. It's cool that we want to show that. It was an adult chondro, and we all know that an adult female chondro can be an unruly animal when you try to restrain them. They're strong as fuck.
Yeah.
But these are two fit grown men with insane collections. And they just, both of them got straight up manhandled by this fucking snake on video. And like, it's okay to get manhandled by your snake. It's okay that the two of you couldn't control that animal. It's not okay to make a video out of it and post it publicly. Like, hey, this is how you do this thing. Or, hey, look at us doing this thing. The video was one of the cringiest things I've ever seen. She straight up manhandled both of them. They used a fucking speculum to crank her mouth open. Who the fuck even does that? Like, it's not like, and when they finally got her poor mouth though, they stressed this snake to fucking death. Like, not literally to death. I hope not. She's terribly, terribly stressed. And they crank her mouth open with a speculum, and they effectively blocked her choanal channel with the speculum. The first and most important place that you should swab is the channel in the roof of the mouth that the glottis sits into, because mucus will accumulate there. And they blocked it with the speculum and didn't even swab it. And I'm sure they got a good sample. They ran that thing all around in her poor mouth while it was cranked open. I'm sure they got a good sample. But like, everything about the whole thing was fucking horrible. I said this on this podcast before. I said it on the Nido episode. I went through, in the amount of time, I won't give specific numbers, in the amount of time it took them to make that video, to like the duration of what they were doing on that video, I could have by myself probably swabbed like 20 chondros, and probably like 15 of them would not have even come off of the perch. Like, you don't even have to get them off the perch. And yeah, sure, for the example of video, let's pull the snake off or whatever. But like, the whole thing was just terrible. And that's, my point is not to shit on the video or those guys. I love both of those guys. They're fucking awesome. My point is, don't try to be like educational and show people things when you don't have the experience necessary to execute that thing or share the information in a way that is meaningful and helpful to everybody who's going to consume that content.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's it. That's all it is, man. There's nothing wrong with not knowing. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. We'll keep reiterating this shit the whole episode. And every time I talk about it, it's okay to not know. It's okay to make mistakes. We all have to learn. We all have to make mistakes, but don't act like you know more than you do. And don't share stuff and help people if you don't actually know what you're talking about or don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, because when you are running with that type of energy, shit will leak through the cracks. And then now how does that make you look? Again, not getting into details, but I had a person, still do, and I love this person too, a part of the Patreon, where they came off pretty strong about, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. And there was a conversation where they sold a snake to somebody that ended up dying in that person's collection like 4 months later. And I suggested, just, can you make sure they nido test it? And their response was like, well, why should they nido test it? I nido tested it before I sent it to them. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, so you think you're just in the clear because you nido tested a snake 4 months before this, after this being in someone else's collection, where this person has retics and a bunch of other shit in the room? Like, and of course, like, I have a lot of new people a part of the Patreon. And so one of the things I'm going to step up and say was like, dude, fuck that. No, that's terrible advice. Like, just because you nido test it yourself, that doesn't mean the person you sold it to should have nido test the animal. And that's whenever I have someone request me nido test something, I'll do it. But then I tell them, you should nido test this thing as soon as it gets into your collection. Like, sure, I'll do it for you, but the real nido test should matter that you do. Not don't rely on me to test it. And I'm only saying that for good practice. Like, if you really want to have something tested, do the test yourself. You know what I'm saying? And again, like maybe they just didn't know, but they were sure acting like they knew. Like it was kind of part of their energy, like a know-it-all energy. And whenever you paint that picture, somebody will fucking see the bullshit that you're putting out. You know what I mean? Because it's easy to spot, just like how you were able to see it in that video. And again, man, I mean, perception's everything. And I feel like, man, people just want to have that respect. Like they want people to look at them like, oh my God, you know it all. You know what I'm saying? And not even you act like that, Patrick. You don't even act like that either, Brian. Like as much as you guys help me out, I come to you guys and you guys answer like if you're not an expert still. You know, like you're only giving me shit based off your guys' own experience, but I never feel like I'm going to know-it-alls. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's because it's the best position for people to be receptive is to not act like you're above or better than. And the chondros still have me scratching my head every fucking day.
Yeah. And
well,
go ahead, Brian.
It's helpful too to me, and I'm sure Patrick, like the accumulation of experiences is like that's how we got the knowledge we have, by making a shitload of mistakes over the last 20-30 years. So when we can see other people's issues, mistake, even if it's not a mistake, it's just like an interesting observation. It's all valuable information to have as, you know, your collective knowledge and that you can refer back to.
Yeah. But again, experiences is something that comes with time. Like you can't fucking fake it. I'll tell you that much. Because again, it only leads to something not good whenever you come off as a fake experienced breeder. And like Patrick says, 2 years and a few clutches on your belt does not make you a fucking top-notch experienced breeder. There's still so much to learn. And you know, even myself, like again, like why I love being a part of the chat that we have, I sometimes feel like I'm on top of shit. But guess what? As soon as I feel like I am, that fucking skeleton fairy starts coming and dancing right in front of my face, dude. All right. And it happens just like that. Like, Brian, you remember last year, or remember I had that female that I didn't know that slugged out in my egg box? I was like, I left the lower perch, and I was like, yeah, I can leave the lower perch. And he was like, wrong.
You got it, MJ. You got pretty upset about that one too.
Hey, you know what? In retrospect, I was wrong. It wouldn't have mattered because they were slugs. So.
But here's the thing, like, you're right. The reason why I felt some type of way is because I thought you guys would approve of the method that I was doing with all the success I recently had. But even with all that success, it doesn't matter. Like, you don't know what's ahead. You know what I'm saying? And it's better to be safe than sorry. And then after I was upset, what did I do? I took the perch out.
I believe that was one of the ones where you called us both bullies.
Calling the kettle black, huh? What do you fucking know, dude?
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you're somebody who's introspective and own it, like that feeling never leaves. Like I'm constantly questioning myself and what I'm doing, and whenever something doesn't go perfectly, what I could have done differently to maybe have influenced that. But at the same time, it's like, you know, sometimes what's going to happen is going to happen. And just kind of got to just, you know, take what you can from the experience and apply it to the next one.
Yeah. I mean,
well, that's like Brian's quote where he says, we take, sometimes take too much credit for our failures and our successes. And that's absolutely true. But also, as Brian just said, we're just gathering little pieces that we may or may not be able to apply next time. And we have to be sure that we don't do the thing that MJ does every fucking year, which is have some success and be like, I ain't changing shit. And MJ says that every year. And every year we're like MJ, just be open minded to some change, and then sure enough, he's gonna go and change some things, and he'll say it again after the next time he has 8 clutches in a row or whatever. My shit's all perfect. I ain't changing nothing, and then he'll have another disaster and change some things because that's what we all do.
And that's exactly what happens. Right when you're Mr. Don't change a thing, a disaster happens. And then what?
Yeah.
You're forced to have to pivot. Yeah. And, you know,
be willing to learn.
Yeah. And, you know, shout out to Bill. But Bill has even come out to say, like, dude, there's adjusting I do in my incubator sometimes. Or, like, there's things that you see that aren't working and you have to adjust. You know what I mean? You have to put your pride aside and do what the fuck you should do to not make this a horrible experience. But, you know, sometimes, you know, pride will get in the way, and then you'll fuck around and find out. But again, you just have to be willing to just swallow that pride and just fucking make the change. And it's totally fine to not be as on point as you thought you were. You know what I mean? Because this is Chondros, dude. All right. There's only one fucking person who's on point, and that's the Chondro gods that are staring down on you, dude. Those are
That's right.
What did you say, Brian? They're undefeated, right? Chondro gods remain undefeated.
They're undefeated, and they're always listening.
Always listening, dude.
That's right.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah.
All we can do, we can pray to Lord Walder, and sometimes we'll be blessed.
Sometimes you'll be blessed. But then again, you don't take that blessing for granted. I'll tell you that much.
Never.
You're always best assuming the worst. Always assume the worst, if anything. And, you know, again, talking about Bill.
What did I tell you when I showed you that nice, perfect 13 egg Aru clutch?
What they're all
I still got time to kill them.
Yeah.
Plenty
of time.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, just Bill on the last Tuesday episode we had, he was pretty confident his fucking was it not freight train outbreak, his snake outbreak, which laid, I guess, 3 years in a row. He was talking about, like, yeah, it's not, look, I don't think she has valuable eggs in her. I'm pretty sure she has slugs. I saw no locks. He was already checked out. Like, he thought this fucking thing is not going to be a good outcome. And literally the next day, 13 perfect eggs.
Yep.
But that's why it's almost in your best interest to downplay and just say, you know what, this is going to go to shit. That way, when it does, you expected it. And if it doesn't, it's a fucking bonus. You know what I mean?
When I commented on it, when he posted it in his story, I commented on his story, and his reply to me was, lucky LOL.
You know, but then again, Bill has a lot of experience, and I feel like that's what he does. He just doesn't get overly excited about something that, he had a reason to not be that excited because he didn't see any locks. This was her 3rd year in a row going, which, I mean, if you ever have a chondro to go 3 years, a treepeat, that's holy shit. That's fucking impressive. You know what I mean?
Bill's ability to be grateful for what he gets when he gets it, and to be chill about all the rest, is why he's one of the ones that's stuck around for as long as he has.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why he's one of the best doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Was there another thing you wanted to get off the list, Patrick? Because we have to talk about basins. So,
oh, for sure. Here's one. How about this is a fun subject that, if I'm able to make it out to Trap Fest, there's 2 people in particular that I'd love to get standing in front of me at the same time on the subject of underfeeding and overfeeding.
Oh boy, let's go.
I don't know. Should I kick this one off, or do you want to talk about it, Brian?
Do it to Brian. Brian, come on. You got to pull out some smoke, dude. Let's go.
Well, I'll be politically correct here. I'll just go off my experience. Back in the day, I've fed chondros to the point that they were 1,800 grams. I've also received animals that were, and seen actually very recently, some animals that were far undersized for their age.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the perfect captive weight for a female chondro is like 700 to 800 grams. It gives you, I think, longevity while also productivity and you're not really taxing them too much. I mean, I think in my opinion, the idea of trying to maintain them at the wild weight is also not really applicable to captivity.
100%.
Like I've seen some undersized, maybe like 4 or 5 year old chondros that they are like 350, 400 grams. But when you look at them, and if you know the size of a chondro egg, which is tiny, they couldn't pass. I can't see a scenario where they could grow and pass a normal size chondro egg because they're that small. Wild chondros, they must be eating large enough prey that it's triggering them to, while they might not be the same weight as some of our captive females, they're still the same length. They're just skinny.
Yes.
And we're also demanding more of our captive animals, trying to breed them back to back and things like that. That shit's not happening in the wild. So just based on my collection of experience, that's what I generally target. I mean, I don't feel like I probably feed adult females every 2 to 3 weeks, maybe. I feed a variety of prey items, jumbo mice, small rats, weanling rat, like whatever I kind of have around. But I'm not feeding them super small items. I'm not feeding them super big items. And I don't feel like 2 to 3 weeks is that infrequent. And that's where my females end up, is like 700-800 grams. So I just know from what I've seen and what I've done, in order to get something much bigger than that, you gotta be hitting them. Yeah. It just is what it is. Males, obviously, it's not as, they can be 300 grams, 500, whatever they end up being is fine. But yeah, that's kind of my initial thoughts.
Yeah, not too long ago, I had a buddy of mine who's a ball python guy. He came over to my place. He looked at my snakes and he's like, "Oh man, I expected your chondros to be much bigger." I was like, "Well, listen, fucking ball python guy. All right, this is we're not putting 4,000 fucking gram snakes on a snake movie here, first and foremost, But then also, I kind of took it as like, well, that was kind of the route I was heading. Like, I don't want to have no offense to however big people's chondros are out there, but I didn't want to have chondros that people come and see and go, "Oh my God, they're massive," because I don't want my chondros to be massive. I'm like where Brian's at. Like my females average are anywhere from like 800 to 1,000, 1,100 grams, but that's basically the zone. And I don't underfeed and I don't overfeed. Majority of the females behind me are on wean to small rats every 2 weeks. And that's what they're on. And so again, to really have some of these females as big as they are, I could only imagine how they're being fed.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I love giant chondros, but I've never grown one to those sizes myself. I've had like the top, probably the top 5 or 6 biggest chondros I've ever seen in person have all been my animals. But I've acquired them like that big, and one of them, 2 of them, I've had 2 Biak females that were probably 6.5 feet long. And, one of them was 1,850 grams. Y'all remember the dragon, Brian? I know you do.
Yeah.
And she was hella lean. She was a very, very, very lean, like a wild body type lean chondro, and was 1,850 grams because she was just such a big, big snake.
You got her that big, right?
Yes, yeah, and she was, yep, and I beefed her up to breed. Not beefed her up, but like I fed her pretty well to breed. She never got fat, and that snake laid 5 slugs. That was the whole clutch was 5 slugs, and one of the 2 longest green trees I've ever seen. I had a male on loan way back in the day. Brian, I don't know if you remember Boko. that really weird mustard Bocandini that Sony had that Mark Leishock produced from totally normal looking parents that came in, I think, from Danny and Jimmy Gorman. But Boco was 6 feet long and 1,400 grams, a male. But that was a testament to the way they were fed. I know what chondros are capable of to a degree because I push my youngsters pretty hard. And I've never had a female to 750 grams by age 2, much less a male. That's insanity to me. But there's, like Brian was saying, there's two sides to this. You have, some people, one person in particular, who likes to talk about how tiny chondros are in the wild and talk about feeding adults hopper mice and 450 gram females laying eggs and shit like that, when that's just ridiculous. Like you're selecting, you're cherry picking the data there and emphasizing toward the extreme end to prove a point. And that's silly. And I've told that person this and directly to him on a podcast before.
Not face to face like you can at Trap Fest if you come.
Yes. And
I would also add to that wild weight data, I think, is useless if it's not coupled with length.
Yes.
Because
100%.
you can severely underfeed a chondro and have an adult 400 gram chondro, but it's also going to be stunted lengthwise, most likely.
Yep. No, you can absolutely have a 5 foot long, 500 gram chondro and not even be emaciated. Like these animals, when they're really lean, they are very, very light snakes. So you're absolutely right that weight by itself is not a great determiner of how big the animal truly is. I've seen very large captive chondros that you see one that's 1,000 grams and another that's 2,000 grams. And the one that's 2,000 grams only looks like it's 50% larger. It doesn't look 2 times larger. But I've also, and I could have sent pictures for MJ to look at or to post here when we're talking about this. But I've seen wild chondros, not ones that were freshly imported. I've seen plenty that were freshly imported that were way bigger. Okay, I've seen lots of 700 and 800 gram females right off the boat. But who knows how long they were at the farm for? Maybe they got beefed up there, maybe they didn't. But I saw some pictures last year, the year before, of some insular animals, Misul or Batanta. I think they were on Misul. And these animals were beefy as fuck. And one of them had a rat in its belly that was borderline large rat size, a massive, massive bulge in its belly. And this snake was probably an 800 gram animal, empty, and just a big beefy chondro. So they do exist. They're not all super skinny in the wild, but that's really not the point. The point is that there's extremes with feeding, and you have, and we need to try to tighten it up a little bit and get more into one end. You should not have, and if your snake reaches 1,000 grams at 3 years old, that's a problem. If your female chondro that started, that wasn't stunted as a baby, if it started normally and she's 3 years old and she's only 300 grams, that's also a problem. That animal's too small. And some people try to say there's genetic components. Actually, the two people that I was referring to and that I'd like to have this discussion with, one of them says genetics play no role whatsoever and it's all feeding. And the other one tries to claim large snake genetics. And the thing is that just like with people, motherfuckers that are fat and blame it on their genetics. Here's the thing, man. Genetics is this much of it, and all the rest is how much you eat, period. Yeah. With people, with human nutrition, if you add up all of the things that can affect your ability to lose and gain weight, and combine them, there's still only a tiny fraction of the whole picture, because the laws of physics and thermodynamics state that you there's a lot of things that affect calories out. There's only one thing that affects calories in, and that's how much you eat. So, and
This feels like an attack, Patrick. I like food.
Brian,
I like food too. I like food too, and I've been big before, and I still like food, and I still eat like I'm big. But you know,
Patrick, you go how long without touching sugar until you touch sugar? Like you literally do it kind of the way you need to do it.
No, I used to try to do the like long periods of time without it. Now I never go more than like 3 weeks, because I found that if I restrict myself for too much, that I tend to binge. I have an eating problem, and I tend to binge too much if I restrict myself too much. So I try to, like, the reason that I stay lean is because of math, because it's calories in, calories out. And I know how to manipulate my overall intake. So to make up for, if I want to sit down and smash, I can sit down and eat 4,000 calories in steak and cheesecake all in one sitting easily, but I know how to make up for that throughout the week so that I don't get overweight. But anyways, it's the same fucking thing with snakes. There are genetic components. But how much they're feeding is the bulk of the issue there. And yeah, I imagine you can, like, with multiple generations, breed for size in animals that tend to get bigger, because I have snakes that are siblings, that are like, where one male is twice the size of the other one, and they were raised on a similar or identical feeding regimen. So there are different components. It's not just feeding. But like as an example, one of those males, he was a great starter, and he grew really fast when he was younger. He just capped out and slowed down way sooner than his brother did, you know? But one of the reasons his brother is so much heavier and not just longer is because when I got him, I thought he was a female, and I fed him more. So,
yeah. Before we kind of get into the basin topic, do you want to go ahead and polish off anything on your list, Brian? Is there anything that you want to go over before we kind of land the ship with Patrick's basin litter that he had?
No, we can save it for round 2. I feel like we'll go on for another 45 minutes. All
right. Well, there's definitely gonna be a round 2, 3, 4, 5 for sure. I'll tell you that much. But I've been really excited to talk to you about this, Pat. Congratulations on your basin litter.
Thank you.
You know, I know this is a huge milestone for you personally. You know, people just think you're all about chondros, but you getting this basin litter, I want you to explain why it meant so much to you, and then we kind of get into how that happened, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was really, really young, like single digits age in the 80s, my dad had a reptile book. May have been all snakes. I've actually been trying to find the book desperately, and I've not been able to find it yet. Not like find a physical book. I've been searching the internet trying to figure out what that book was. But in that book was a picture of a baby Amazon basin emerald tree boa. And that one photograph, so many of us have stories like this, that we saw one picture in a magazine, one animal at a zoo, whatever. It was like that for me. That picture of that baby Amazon basin emerald is what literally started my arboreal obsession. And the second picture that did it was a picture in an encyclopedia that my dad had, and it was a black and white photo, a tiny little picture next to in the section for chameleon, and it was a male Jackson's chameleon with the 3 horns, and there was a little neonate perched on one of his horns. Those 2 pictures like changed my entire life, and that's why I was doing chameleons 30 something years ago, 33 years ago when I started chameleons. But that basin, I to this day remember how it didn't look real, and it almost looked like it was something edible, like a pastry with, like, you know, frosting drizzled on it or whatever, right? It just reminded me of like frosted cake or something when I was a kid. And so I liked emeralds before I liked chondros. I had Corrales boas before I had chondros. I started keeping Amazons in 95. still have a bunch of Amazons, and I have not a bunch of emeralds, but so fast forward, in 2009, I got my first basins from my buddy Nick Method. Nick was a very active member of the chondro community back then, and I got a merino male, a Volk female. They're male from Steve, male from Ed, female from Steve, and a male from Tony. The three like biggest fucking like the three names in breeding basins. And these were sub-adult animals. The males were really adults. They were breeding size, like young breeding size males and a sub-adult female. I got all three of those basins for $4,500. And which is what roughly what they were like. The female that Nick bought the female from Steve for $2,000. Like I just back then I saw they might have even been from Rico. I saw very basic looking basins on King Snake one time for $750. That was not the normal, but the normal was, you know, $2,000, $3,000 for basins back then. And I gave them all to my brother because my brother Bobby is obsessed with emeralds. He's got emeralds tattooed on his arms and shoulders and stuff. So I bought them for Bobby. Fast forward many more years, and Nick and I, same Nick, we started tossing around the idea of getting basins, and he found a female for sale for an adult from a German zoo bloodline for $5,500. So he buys her, and I get the snake, and sometime a few weeks into quarantine, I'm like, this is not a female. And because we thought we just scored finding an adult female, small, but an adult female for $5,500. It turned out it was a male. So like, okay, fuck, we got to find a female. It took us a year of tossing offers around and poking and prodding and sending messages and calling people. And the amounts of money that people will laugh off when you're trying to buy an adult female basin is pretty wild. And Stephen and Desiree decided to sell us their adult female that they had, that Steve Volk produced in 2014. And it was Nick was like, when I asked him about it, because I was like, yeah, I know where there's this one. And when I asked him about it, let's just say that Nick decided not to play around with the offer. He said, let's try this. And I gave them an offer that was good enough where they jumped on it. And so we were super grateful for that. And she's a big, badass, beautiful animal with a big, bold white stripe. And I know everybody loves all Ed's high white stuff, and I do too. But my favorite basins are the classic barbed wires, just really classic barbed wires. I like barbed wires. Yeah, I like barbed wires that get the dark edges around the white, creates a cool contrast. I like rich yellow bellies and dark green. And as much as I love Ed's stuff, Steve Volk's page, that's my favorite collection of basins to look at, because I love big, long crossbars and just high contrast and all of that. That's just my jam. And so we got that female, but right at the same time as we got that female, we got 10 juveniles from High, and High Win has produced basins with some consistency, and he produced 3 litters in 2021, and they were all from merino females and 3 merino females, two different males. Both males were undocumented. One came from Dean Ripa's collection after he passed away, and one came from Tom Crutchfield. And we got animals from all 3 of those litters. We bought 10 of them. They were unsexed, which is crazy to me, because you can sex baby emerald tree boas right out of their mom. Like, I wouldn't do it because you want them to eat and shed and all that stuff with no stress. But you can, if you're good, you can visually sex them. But they are the easiest. Emerald tree boas are the easiest snakes to probe, man. They're like, and so it's crazy to us. And we're thinking, okay, unsexed, because we know how that goes in the chondro community. We're thinking we got 10 animals. We're like, this is fucking 8.2, right? They were they were, I visually sexed them and guessed accurately on every single one before I probed them. And they were 5.5, dude.
Nice.
And, yeah. And we got them in like, they were born in October and December of 2021, and we got them in November. So they were all just right floating around 1 year old. And, just all beautiful animals. And shout out to Hi, that dude's cool. He does uromastics and some tree monitors and basins. And I know some people that have visited him, and they said that everything he has is fucking immaculate. That his whole collection is
here in Cali? Isn't he over here in SoCal?
Yeah, I was thinking he's in California. Yeah, or Nevada. He's either in Nevada or California.
Yeah,
but very, very cool dude. Really, really nice animals. Just small, dedicated keeper with really, really killer stuff. And so we did the keep the best and flip the rest deal with the basins. And we sold, sold 3.2, kept 2.3. A little bit down the road, I sold one of the females to Josh. You got to see her in Minnesota the other day, I believe, MJ.
Yeah. She's gorgeous.
Yeah. And because Josh offered me a good chunk, and we ended up getting back, not counting a trade. If you count the trade that we got, like we got back almost all of the money that we spent on those 10, selling them in ones and twos. So I ended up with 2.2 that we basically didn't pay for. Really just like we got real close to getting all the money back. And I had tried the older male with this female 2 years in a row and got lots of locks the first time. The second time, a little bit of locks. And so the third time I tried pairing them a little earlier, and he was showing zero interest. And I later realized it's because she just wasn't developing. But I'm like, man, this older male, like he's not too old to breed or anything, but I was just like, fuck it. I've got these two younger males, and one of them is my favorite of the whole group. And he's got the most white of all of them. He's fucking stellar. They're in some of my most recent posts on my personal Instagram, MJ. That male is one of the three at the top on my personal one. Actually, it's probably on both of them, but I threw him in, even though he was only like just over 3 years old. He was like three years and a couple of months or a few months, and still pretty small. But dude, he was all over her immediately. I mean, immediately. They bred so many times that I got tired taking pictures of locks, and for weeks and weeks on end. That's the one.
What time of year was this, Pat? Remind me. Like when
so this was early in the year, and I had been trying to breed her. Oh gosh, is that the right male? I'm looking at it on my computer screen now.
It's a sire to my.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah, the other male looks very, very similar, but yeah. And he, anyways, like that, I think originally I had gotten locks from her in December, but this was like January or February. I think, it was February when I first paired him up, and he was all over her, and he bred her all through February, all through March. And I'm going to lose track of the exact months. But I wasn't seeing anything, and I stopped putting them together and just kept feeding her. I wasn't trying to like huge meal thing. I was doing the infrequent small meals, but I didn't know that she was developing. So I didn't ever try to push her with that big meal into ovulation.
Yeah.
In retrospect, I think I fed her a fairly good sized medium rat, and she's not a huge girl. Not too long before she ended up ovulating. So maybe I did push it but I was just trying to, get her back on larger meals less frequently. I wasn't trying to push the ovulation because she had been on the smaller meals, because I was just giving her like a weanling rat, pretty frequently.
Yeah.
And one day I went in there and she looked really swollen, and they had not been together for at least 2 months, maybe even 3 months. It had been months. And I remembered Warren talking about boas not being so great at sperm retention. And so I threw them, I pulled her out and I palpated her and I could feel follicles. But the thing is that I'm not great at palpating, I'm pretty good at it, but I don't have a ton of experience palpating live bearers. Like I can feel follicles earlier, but when I palpated her, I got the same feeling that I've gotten from chondros that were within a couple of days of ovulation. Like I can feel the follicles, but they're huge and they feel, the whole area feels swollen, and it's because they start to gather a bunch of fluid into there to kind of like lubricate everything for the transition. And but I threw the male in for the hell of it, and he actively avoided her. Like he was like almost like a little sketched out by her and actively avoided her. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I come in the next morning and she's like stretched out and real uncomfortable and even bigger. And then when I got home that day, she was fucking just blown up. And I know I sent both of you guys pictures of it, man. And she was just blown up.
There's no mistaking it, huh? Like when it goes down,
No.
it goes down. It's like, holy shit. You almost feel sorry for the female. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah. I've only produced emeralds twice, and the first time was northerns, and I was out of town when the female ovulated, but Bobby was at my house checking my incubator, because I damn near every year have chondros hatch while I'm out of town. And I asked Bobby, I was like, hey, go check on that northern female, because he loves emeralds and he wants to look at my emeralds. But I also just had a feeling about her. Her ovulation was so funky, she was on the ground. And I was like, God damn. And but anyways, emeralds, they do the damn thing when they have an ovulation. But it wasn't the biggest one I've seen pictures of, but it was just a very clear-cut ovulation, and it was awesome. And man, I wish I would have brought my numbers with me, but she ended up going, gosh, man, like 130,
wasn't it?
Oh man, no, way long. Like 163 days after the shed, like crazy long. And don't quote me on that, but it's something crazy like that, because I remember getting well into the 150s, and not from the ovulation, from the shed. Yeah. And a lot of guys won't time it by the shed, but they tend to shed 28 to 30 days after the ovulation, like pretty much like clockwork. And she very much did that. I want to say she shed exactly 4 weeks after her ovulation. And I was, of course, being a jaded chondro breeder, was just really, I was just really like expecting, I knew she was fertile. She started losing weight in her head, and I could see her ribs and stuff. It was very clear she was building actual babies and not just slugs. If you have some experience, you can almost always tell whether or not a female is fertile once they get into the later stages. If their head is sinking in and all that, slugs don't do that to them. I've had precisely one chondro ever slug all the way out when I thought she was kind of 50-50. She's an older girl, and it's the only time I've ever been surprised by a full clutch of slugs. You can usually just tell. But what I didn't know is whether or not she's going to have a pile of stillborn, twisted up, 3-eyed fucking mutants, right? Yeah. Like, so that's what I'm fully expecting, is a bunch of twisted up mutants. And man, I went to bed one night and I woke up at 3 a.m. like this, like snapped out of it. She had just passed her funky urates the day before. Yeah. With Amazon tree boas, they usually pass them 5 to 7 days before they give birth, and they often do it twice. And so I thought I still had some time. I woke up at 3 a.m. on the dot and like shot up in bed, and I'm like, God damn it, she's up there having babies right now. I just knew it. And I started to get up and go look, but I had gone to bed too late, and I had to get up at 5 and I'm old. And I said, you know what? If you get up now and she's having babies, you are not going to back to bed. You know you won't go back to bed. You'll be up there filming it and watching it all night. And so I just went back to sleep, and I woke up at 5, and I fucking jumped out of bed and I ran straight up there, and there's fucking bloody, slimy mess all over the cage and fucking baby basins crawling all over the cage. There were no stillborns. There were 2 slugs, and there were 7 babies in there. And unfortunately, one of the babies did not absorb its yolk, and it was very small. And it, of course, this is the thing you'll get from chondro breeding. Of course, it was the best one in there. It was my favorite one. It had the best white stripe of all of them. And unfortunately, that one did not survive. It lived long enough for the others to have their first shed, and it went into shed, and then one of its eyes swole up, and it would never perch normal. It cruised constantly. It was always just restless and weird, and I just never had a good feeling about it. And sure enough, that one passed. At, you know, I don't know, 20 days old or something like that. The rest of them all shed within a few days. And they're massive. Well, they're not all massive, but some of them were born big enough to eat small mice. Like they were way bigger than my northern babies. And they've been easy to start. They're all kicking ass. I have frozen thawed in all of them. One of them took frozen thawed the first try. The rest of them I got started on live ASF. And then
hoppers. Would you feed them hoppers?
Like the size of a hopper mouse, like the size ASF. That's the size which is more of a fuzzy, like a big fuzzy ASF. As far as like the growth stage, but roughly the size of like a really big fuzzy or a small hopper mouse. And I wanted to go a little small. What you're looking for is something that's big enough to have a specific type of movement. The reason that hopper mice work well on emeralds is because they move differently than a fuzzy mouse does. Fuzzy mice still kind of like roll around and are kind of awkward. Hopper mice actually move like an adult. And so that movement is what, in my opinion, is what triggers that feeding response with that size. And so I got the size of the smallest ASF I could get that were very coordinated with their mobility.
Wow, dude. And that's epic, bro. And again, you know, kind of just not expecting good results and walking into that. What a feeling. Dude,
this is how you know you're doing the thing that you should be doing. Yeah. Every time I hatch out corn snakes, I've said this so many times, but every time I hatch out corn snakes, I get fucking stoked about it. It's so fucking cool, man. It doesn't matter what it is. It's so fucking cool. But that one, dude, I'm getting emotional right now just thinking about it. Producing basins for the cool factor and I haven't even I shared one little video. I haven't even taken the time to really post about it yet. And you know I will, but I haven't really been hardcore flexing it or whatever. It's a flex. Oh, that's awesome. It's a flex. I deserve to flex it. But all of that shit aside, dude, just the way it felt to me to go in and see those baby basins in there and to know that, and I've been trying to breed that female for 3 fucking years, you know, and to do it with a male that I raised up. And just with that lineage, to have merino lineage and bulk lineage in there, everything about it is so fucking cool, man. So fucking cool. I can when I walked in there, even though I literally knew what I was walking into, I just freaked out. And everyone was like, "Oh my fucking God, man. This is it's just so fucking cool, man. It's so cool." And
reminds you why you do what you do, dude.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't care what it is in your life, man. Everybody has something they can find that they can be that passionate about. And there's just nothing cooler than that. Find the thing that makes you feel the way those baby basins made me feel, and you're doing the right thing.
But the sad thing is not too many people find it, dude. You know, and it's unfortunate, you know, because I feel like I found my calling with the reptiles. I never felt so much reward and pain that the reptile game has brought me. And I know I'm in the right place, but I just kind of think damn, not too many people get to feel this type of feeling, this feel of completion. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, there's ups and downs of what we do, but we have our moments that we just like to celebrate, and not even publicly. Like, I mean, I'm kind of with you. When I had my success last year with the Northerns, like, I didn't set up a tripod and do all that. I was so in the moment, dude, and just soaking it all in as much as I possibly could, you know, because I had a female the year before that died with 13 of them inside of her. And, you know, like, and that sucked. And I just thought this next go around was going to be miserable. And, you know, when you finally see success after just doubting yourself sometimes, dude, it's, I don't know a better feeling. I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And a quick little side note, dude, your fucking new Emerald setups with the fucking purchase from Ron and all that, dude, they're so dope. They're so fucking dope. I talk shit about fake plants and fake stuff all the time. I like natural branches, but Ron's stuff they look so fucking good, man.
Yeah.
And I know, like, every time that you post in your story or talk on a show about how much you're enjoying having them in those cages and how much you get to, how cool it is to see them moving around and doing snake stuff. I love it. It makes me really happy.
Yeah. I mean, you know, again, it's just cool seeing them at night. At nighttime is when you get to really see them extended out. And, you know, when they're when half their body's at the top and the other lower is at the bottom, it's everything, man. But listen, I'm already I'm on thin ice with my wife, so we got to wrap this up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and hey, here, I'll give one thing. As much as I love walking into my room and seeing all the chondros in hunting position, as much as that's the coolest thing in the world, emeralds look even cooler in hunting position than chondros do.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, more prehistoric. Like, it's just more like, you know, and again, they're green.
Yeah, they're green. And they're green.
Yeah, we're gonna continue this, guys. I enjoy your both you guys being a part of the show, especially together. I appreciate being a part of the chats. You guys putting me on game and being patient with me. You guys are amazing, dude. Thank you, Brian, for coming on. Thank you, Patrick. Front Range Arboreals on IG, Arboreal Obsession, GTP Patrick. Thank you guys so much. Give it up. It's a wrap for Brian and Patrick, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, boys. Have a good night, man. Thank you. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Hate that I can't do my 3-4 hour episodes like I used to, but due time, I swear I'll be back. All right. But this is your first time listening. Hit that subscribe button for me. Hit that like button. Let's get the likes up. It was a great episode. Episode 768 in the books. Quick word from our sponsors, and I'll see you next time. Sorry for the interruption, folks, but a quick word from our sponsors. Shout out to tonight's sponsor brought to you by ZooMed.
ZooMed is proud to be supporting the Trap Talk Reptile Network. At ZooMed, reptiles are our passion. For over 48 years, we've been creating premium foods, supplies, and habitats for reptiles and other exotic animals. We're a company made up of hobbyists that test our products on the hundreds of animals that we care for here every single day. Whether you're an established breeder or a first-time hobbyist picking up your first ball python, ZooMed has you covered with everything you need to keep your animals happy and healthy.
I'm excited to talk about this new product with ZooMed called the Slither Sense. It is a remote temperature and humidifying monitoring system, which we all know how important temperature and humidity is to your reptile. And for you to have remote access to your temperature and your humidity in your reptile room could really, really be a game changer for the longevity of you keeping reptiles. So guys, make sure you check out that product. Find the link in the description below. Click on it right now. Give me your feedback in the comments below. Let me know how you're liking a brand new ZooMed product. Tonight's episode is brought to you by David Brahms from the Reptile Perch. If you have an arboreal species, you definitely want to make sure you are using a David Brahms design perch over at the Reptile Perch. You can get any size perch you want for any size arboreal, anywhere from hatchlings all the way from adults. Everything you see behind me is on a David Brahms design PVC perch. So thank you so much to the Reptile Perch for doing everything that you've been doing with these awesome, affordable perches for people to take advantage of. And you can find David Brahms's website in the description below. Simply go to www.reptileperch.com or just go to Reptile Perch on Instagram. And you can also see many of David's awesome green tree python projects. He's also a highly successful green tree python breeder. Been looking up to for the last few years as well. So to have his support really means the world to me. Thank you so much, David Brahms over at the Reptile Perch. Thank you for all the fellow support. Thank you so much for anyone who watches the Trap Talk Reptile Network. Hit that like button. If you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, you'll be notified of every new episode dropping here out of the network 7 days a week. And also by hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, it pushes this network out to other new keepers coming into the hobby. So by you doing that, it does more than you think. So thank you so much again for all the support. And if you're not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. We're doing big things over here and we really appreciate it.